Hi, it's me, Jesse, and today I want to talk about gay marriage. And the reason I want to talk about it is because it is September this weekend, and in November, on the Minnesota election ballot thingy, we're voting on whether we should ban gay marriage in our state constitution. So it's already, I think, you already can't get married here, so this is just like a safety measure to make sure um, activist judges don't overturn that. And so I live with my boyfriend, and we got together, started dating in February of 2001. That means we're coming up on our 12-year anniversary, and we're engaged. I proposed to him in 2010, gave him a ring. He has since lost said ring, uh, but he went 2 years without losing it. I was pretty proud of him, and it'll be fine. It wasn't. It's not the end of the world. Get him another one. Anyway, funny thing, and this is why I'm doing this today. I came across an article a while back on Minnesota for Marriage's website. They're the ones who oppose same-sex marriage, and I cannot remember the article now. But I wanted to comment on it. They had a comment section. They have since removed comment sections, by the way, but I wanted to say something. But you had to join in order to comment. Sneaky. So I joined, made a comment, and then what ended up happening was I got on their mailing list, and now even to this day I still get email updates whenever they have things they want to say, and it upsets me, but I don't cancel or unsubscribe because I'm also weirdly fascinated by it, what the people on the other side think and how they think, and I don't know. I try and be understanding and put myself in their shoes. I think but the thing that's so hard for me is I grew up in an environment that's probably not that dissimilar from how they grew up. Um, my parents, I mean, before me coming out, it wasn't like they um, were supportive of the gay community. I mean, slang was used in my house, but at the same time, they didn't. I don't know how to put it, but um, anyway, I just the other week I got an email that I wanted to share. I had to tell someone, and I just decided to put it in my little video thingy. So they had this link to an article that was on this website called The Public Discourse, and it's this guy that he grew up in like I think the 70s and 80s. His mother was a lesbian. After his dad died, she ended up hooking up with a woman, and so his older siblings had all moved out, and so the latter portion of his childhood, um, he was living with two moms, and he has a negative take on that experience, and he wanted to let everyone know. I'm gonna read not the whole thing because it goes on forever, and you can probably just find it. The guy is Robert Oscar Lopez. He titled his little article "Growing Up with Two Moms: The Untold Children's View." I'm just gonna read a portion of it and then tear it apart. The children of same-sex couples have a tough road ahead of them. I know, because I have been there. The last thing we should do is make them feel guilty if the strain gets to them and they feel strange. Between 1973 and 1990, when my beloved mother passed away, she and her female romantic partner raised me. They had separate houses but spent nearly all their weekends together, with me, in a trailer tucked discreetly in an RV park, 15 minutes away from the town where we lived. So I'm thinking what made it so difficult for him was growing up in a trailer. But as the youngest of my mother's biological children, I was the only child who experienced childhood without my father being around. After my mother's partner's children left for college, she moved into our house in town. I lived with both of them for the brief time before my mother died at the age of 53. I was 19. In other words, I was the only child who experienced life under gay parenting as that term is understood today. Quite simply, growing up with gay parents was very difficult, and not because of prejudice from neighbors. People in our community didn't really know what was going on in the house. To most outside observers, I was a well-raised, high-achieving child finishing high school with straight A's. Inside, however, I was confused. I was confused. Sentence ends there. When your home life is so drastically different from everyone around you, in a fundamental way, striking at basic physical relations, you grow up weird. I have no mental health disorders or biological conditions. I just grew up in a house so unusual. I don't understand. Were they like that I was destined to exist as a social outcast? I have to stop there because to me, this guy's experience is like a mirror of what every gay child experiences. Growing up feeling weird because in the household, your attraction and what you're going, I mean, for myself anyway, when I was, because I knew since I was like in elementary school, you're seeing your parents, a mom and a dad, and like you're supposed to grow up and you get a wife and then you have kids. But I knew inside, like it was so confusing and like everyone has that. First of all, that when discovering your sexual identity, I think this guy's trying to pin it on his dead mom. Maybe that's not quite how he's doing it, but that's how it comes off. That he's saying, "Hey, it was really hard for me," and because he goes on, I should say this. He goes on to say that because of growing up in that environment, he tried being gay. Of course, he's straight, and it was really difficult for him. It took him years to realize he was straight in college, and he thinks if he would have grown up in a straight household, that wouldn't have happened, and that's probably true. But the thing is, that's exactly what happens with most gay children, especially in the 70s and 80s when he was growing up. You try being straight first because that's what you're supposed to do, and it's just as confusing. It's actually more difficult. Take into account this is the 70s and 80s for him. Think about if he had been gay growing up in a straight household. On top of all the pressures he's claiming that gave him such a terrible time, you would have had also the outside pressure from community and just from society that you're wrong, and it's he didn't have that. Because I can tell you right now, I was around in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and it was quite all right to be straight, and it wasn't so much a good thing to be gay. So it's just, this guy's thing really irked me because here he grew up with a mom that basically she was gay, but she still married a man, had children. Probably wasn't what she wanted to do, but it was the flippin' 60s and 70s, whatever. And then she eventually comes to terms with her sexuality, lives with this woman, and it's a secret from the town. No one knows. His mom has to basically live a secret life. And then she passes away, and then he does this. He comes out in support of banning gay marriage and uses his mom's. I think that's just, to me, that's so illogical, and it's so disrespectful of his mom's memory. But I'm sure he doesn't see it that way. I'm sure he's only thinking about himself, which is kind of what you have to do when you take, well, maybe we all just think about ourselves. I'm gay and I'm thinking about myself. Anyway, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. I'm very passionate about this topic because I'm gay. And I don't necessarily feel like I need a marriage to validate how I feel about Richard. And I'm not even that into the legal part of it with visitation rights, and like that hasn't obviously come up in a relationship, and I don't, if something's not like, I don't know, I don't give it a lot of thought. But I guess the way I look at it, and a lot of people probably aren't going to agree with me on this, but let's say I absolutely detested broccoli, which isn't true. Broccoli's good. But if I hated it, and then someone told me, and this is kind of a stretch, but I think it still makes its point. If someone told me because I'm gay I can't have broccoli, that'd probably piss me off. Even though I'm probably never going to eat it and I hate it, who are you? It bothers me. And the whole argument seems to be right now that you have people who are saying it's a civil rights freedom type thing on one side, and then the other side is saying religious freedom. But underneath the whole religious freedom argument, I think what's going on there is because no one's telling them they can't practice their religion. No one's telling them they can't still marry people of the opposite sex. The underlying fear is being labeled a bigot. No one wants to be labeled that, but they want to hold on to their opinions and not be thought of that way. Understandable, but if the shoe fits, I don't know. If you think that holding those beliefs are going to be making you get that label, chances are there's a logical reason for that. I don't know. But, people don't want children being educated about homosexuals in school and sex ed. They don't want it to come off that it's acceptable or that it's in any way normal, even though, by my definition of normal, meaning it occurs naturally, it is normal, and it should be acceptable. Yeah. So anyway, I think I'll just stop it there. I could talk about this forever, but I would just keep rambling and going off course. I think what I'll do, really quick, is just play a piece of this song by Laurie Anderson called My Right Eye. You can stop the video if you don't want to listen to the music, but it's really cool. It's a cool song. That has nothing to do with gay marriage, though. Although I think she's a lesbian.
Empty your mind. Let the rest of the world go by.
I should shave.
Hold your breath. Hold your breath.
My cat sneezed. He has a cold. Let's see if I can show him.
Close your eyes. Rocks and stones, broken bones, everything eventually comes crawling home. In the night,
Kind of eerie.
in the night, in the night. Please forgive me if I have fallen short of your love.
It's another cat
But there are
being
things
creepy.
still buried in my heart.
I like ambient type stuff. This is another really good song called The Making of Grief Point. Probably not a song in most people's book, but it is to me. Loscil, or Loscil, is the artist. Loscil. Can you even hear it? Can you hear anything right now? Vote.
The journal starts late. 6 weeks into the making of Grief Point, First Office made a song in honor of May 1st and the workers. Can you still be against the strike that only strikes for more pay? By you in this instance, I mean me.
I like spoken word poetry mixed with ambient music.
There's a certain kind of person to whom things come with great facility. They say this is the noise that gets made as my life is lived, so be it. I don't feel the need to record it. For a second I thought this meant that they were not interested in history, but that's wrong. Wrong. A bad reading of the situation. The right reading is that I just don't
Look, both
understand.
these songs are like 9 minutes long, but they're great like bedtime songs. If you make bedtime playlists, I have 100 of these kind of songs. 1, 2, 3, No Gravity, the Dettinger mix by Closer Music. Look that up too. Really good. Nice, peaceful stuff. Okay? So, live in Minnesota? Vote. Vote no on the amendment. Vote no. I should show my boyfriend so you can see how cute he is, and then you'll really,
its effects.
you really
And is this the right